It's a fabulous evening here at Besthorpe Gravel Pits, a Nottinghamshire Wildlife Trust Reserve, and just the perfect conditions. Even a cuckoo distantly, and there's been a barn owl quartering this meadow not 10 minutes ago. But it's moths that we're after on what's a fabulous evening at a fabulous reserve. It's always a good sky here at Besthorpe. Tonight is probably the best yet. I'm still new to trapping here, and I must admit this, along with missing car, really gives us a buzz early in the day knowing I'm coming here. It's a site with such potential, lots of good macro moths here, but an untapped potential as far as I'm concerned regarding micro moths. We really don't know what's here and what's not here. Hoping we'll find out a little bit more about what's here during the course of the next few hours. Right now, it's cup of tea time while we wait for this glorious sky to get a bit darker. Well, isn't that a picture? Cuckoo calling away, a fabulous sky, and a beautiful evening. I can't wait to switch this light on, to be honest, but it won't be much longer before I do. I like this part. This is where you sit and think and expect and hope for particular species. I don't have any species in mind. I think we might get a few midges. There's already been a cloud of them knocking around the car, and Hellephoridae beetles, well, the top of the car is plastered with them. So there may be a lot of activity on this sheet. In the meantime, we'll have a listen to that chap. Well, no moths have come in yet, but it's still really light. Haven't had the onslaught, well, at least I think I'll get an onslaught of caddisflies and midges. There's a suspicious looking cloud of midges against my car. Maybe they'll head this way, maybe it's the Lound Wood lot, but you expect them here, which is a wetland site, so sort of par for the course really. But it's always exciting waiting for that first moth to come in. What will it be? Common swift will be my reckoning, but one's not come in yet, even though they will be flying. We should get a decent list of species tonight. I'm looking forward to this. I knew these would be trouble. All of a sudden, within the last minute, in they've come. There are hundreds and hundreds. It's them from Loudwood, I know it is. I recognise one of them. There isn't a moth on the sheet. Not a single moth has landed on the sheet yet. But we do have 2 moths in, or that have been in. Straw Dot was the first, and not Common Swift as I expected. And also a Brimstone has been in briefly. There are moths flying about, but I don't think they dare tattle this lot. But hopefully these will gradually dwindle and drift off. Well, here's a species that I didn't think I'd ever be talking about on a moth trapping video. These are the larval cases of the Sarkidae moth Luffia lapidella, and this is pretty much all you ever see of Luffia lapidella, even when it's emerged as an adult moth, because really it doesn't emerge. It sort of splits and half-heartedly attempts to come out of the chrysalis, but then gives up and just lays its eggs. These are parthenogenic, so they're self-fertile, and they're also wingless too. And I think this is a new species for the reserve. Certainly if Dillis and myself haven't recorded it here, then it will be. But how many people walk past these gate posts during the day have no idea that tucked away in these cracks on the gate post are a number of these larval cases. So that's a nice one, and a surprising addition to tonight's list. Didn't think I'd be writing Luffia lapidella down. Well, because of the large number of caddisflies and midges and an assortment of other diptera, I may not get a chance to actually film a great deal, but here's a little beauty. This is the small elephant hawk moth. This is not a species that ever really trapped a great deal. Dillis and I used to get it the odd time in the Sherwood Forest area. I've never recorded it at home, but it has turned up on a couple of occasions at Eakring. They're just coming on the wing now, so if you catch one in the next few nights or so, they will be as immaculate as this. It's a stunning species, very much a smaller version of the elephant hawk moth. Perhaps in a way more pink, especially that abdomen. There's more pink on that abdomen. It's a super moth, and thankfully it's settled down. So that's a nice one that at least we can get a look at despite the cloud of midges. We're just trying to give you an idea of how much is around the light. There's a second small elephant hawk moth just come in. It's just in front of the, or just to the right of the light now. But lots of midges, lots of caddisflies. The caddisflies settle down, the midges don't. But the majority of the moths that you can see buzzing around the sheet are flame shoulders. I've never seen so many flame shoulders, and in fact I've never seen so many of any one particular species coming to the light in the manner that they are doing. They are everywhere. There's a silver ground carpet, oyster catcher flying around over. There's a couple of flames in now, which are very different to flame shoulder. There's a middle barred mine that I can see. It's a busy sheet. When you'll get something of an idea of how many insects there are around the light, and especially on the sheet. Lots of midges, and say caddisflies too. What's known as the bycatch from a lot of mothers, and the bycatch is simply anything else that they're not interested in that isn't a moth. But there's some interesting species turn up. But you can get an idea of how busy it is, I could show you all four sides of the light, and they're all like this. I'm going to try and not look at the sheet too much because there's new species coming in all the time, but I need to try and fill you in on what's come in, and there is a good range of moths, over 40 species to be honest, and there's been one particular, I can't help but look at the sheet, but there's been one particular species which I've never trapped before, and indeed up until last week I'd never even seen it, and it's grass rivulet. It's nothing particularly sparkling, it's not particularly large either, but nice that I finally broke my grass rivulet duck. Of the other species that have come in, there's a buff tip just arrived, a surprisingly large moss buff tip, and absolutely beautiful, and I'll put a photo in here for you to have a look at that. And if we look through the list, the commonest two species are Cetaceous Hebrew character, which is quite a lot, and flame shoulder, which is even quite a lot more. But of those other moths in, Scorched Wing has come in, absolutely beautiful moth, Scorched Wing. One of those moths that the patterning and coloration on its wings make it look as though it's vibrating the wings when the wings are indeed perfectly still, as you'll have seen from the photograph that I've put in. Cloud of Silver has just turned up in a dark bar twin spot carpet. Dark Arches is another one. There's two elephant hawk moths in now to match the two small elephant hawk moths that were already in earlier, but all the rest is pretty much routine fare, but moths are coming in all the time. It is hectic. I've already had a chance to have a cup of tea, only the tea's there, it comes in handy when you swallow the bycatch, or what seems like most of it, but lots of insects coming in. It's quite damp actually. There's quite a good dew on the grass, and that happened very quickly as soon as it started to get dark, and the sheet is a little bit damp, but it's not too bad. But it's full of moths, full of other insects. What more could you want? Well, there's a selection of species here on the side of the box, and at the bottom of the box there you can see there's a size difference between large and small elephant hawk moth. There's a fabulous peach blossom just here, look, that's coming, that's new in. A number of flame shoulders, and also single flame there, Scorched Wing at the top. Just lots of moths, and that's what it's all about. That's what we want, that's what we want to see. Good numbers of moths. It's not about rarities, it's about seeing an improvement in numbers on 2024's disastrous year, and that's what we're seeing. It's surprising how noisy the birds are here. Herons especially are calling all night. Cormorants you hear as well, and an assortment of all the species. There's been a sedge warbler singing its head off, and even a Cetti's warbler at the side here, which will chirp up every now and again. But you can see just how many moths there are on the sheet. But if you have a look at on the ground away from the sheet, you'll see lots of moths too. Quite often the moths will come land fairly near the sheet and then walk or fly to the sheet. There's a brimstone just flying in there towards the light. There's 3 elephant hawk moths now. Lots of stuff. In fact, there might be 4 elephant hawk moths in. There's one just off the sheet. But plenty of moths, plenty to continually go through as well. You're looking, and all of a sudden something catches your eyes, it comes in. These are the kind of conditions and nights that you dream of during the winter and you wish for during the autumn, you wish that they'd come back, but they always come back eventually. Three nice species to adorn anybody's grubby fingers, with small elephant hawk here, elephant hawk moth, and buff tip on my index finger. I've just gone over 3 hours, and I'm happy to have trapped for 3 hours. I've got lots of moths, nothing particularly rare or unusual, but it's just nice to see lots of moths. We've all been moaning about the lack of insects, and I've had a sheet full this evening, but I want to give those moths a chance to go about their nightly business. I don't want them to go hungry because they're under enough pressure as it is. So I'm going to pack up, release all these moths. They can then go about and do what they want while I head off home. It's been an absolutely fantastic session, it really has. And I could stop here for another couple of hours, but there's other things I want to do tomorrow. And it's important that these can continue what they're doing in the next few hours before it starts to get light. Something I've always done, never trapped all night. It's not for me, to be honest. And so, time to pack up and say goodbye to these three.